Hi, everyone. My name's Becky, and I'm part of the Move Out team at Kensington. And I'm really excited to introduce you today to three pretty incredible people. They, for about the past month, have been coming together to work on something called My COVID Response, which is basically a tool that helps connect people with needs to resources and people that want to help with those needs. And so each of them have been gifted in pretty incredible ways, and they've brought those gifts together to do something during this COVID crisis that is really making a difference. So I just want them to tell a little bit of their story today, but let me introduce you first to who we have here. First, there's Dustin McClellan. Dustin is the founder and CEO of the Pontiac Community Foundation. We also have Dr. Jen Lucarelli, who is the assistant professor and chair of interdisciplinary health services. Did I get that right, Jen? At
Yes.
Oakland University. And then we have Cam Underdown, who many of our Kensington audience will recognize. Cam is the co-founder of Life Church Auburn Hills, as well as he has a relative that some of you might know. His father-in-law is Steve Andrews, and Lindy Underdown is his wife. And also claim to fame, Cam and I worked together years ago. He was actually one of our high school directors at Kensington, so back in the day. So anyway, excited that you guys all could take a little time out to be with us here today. And I think I'm just going to start with Dustin. Just tell us a little bit about what you all have been doing and kind of what you're excited about.
Hey, thanks so much, Becky, for taking the time to really get this message out on what we're trying to accomplish in helping people in the greater Pontiac community. When the COVID-19 crisis really came to our doorstep, and I think really when the school system began to take a pause is when the Pontiac Community Foundation felt that we needed to step in and be a part of making a difference. And so our first step into doing that was launching a coordination effort inside of the city of Pontiac. So getting all of our community leaders, nonprofit organizations and agencies on the same page, and kind of preparing ourselves to meet the needs of the community. And we knew that food would be the number one issue that folks would be facing as various income streams dried up and access became an even greater challenge for people in Pontiac. We knew we needed to do something about that. So started to have conversations about it, started to engage with those that regularly distribute food, and then also increase our efforts with additional distribution sites. And in that initial iteration, I got in touch with Dr. Jen Lucarelli, and we linked up and said, let's lead this effort together. And so she quickly brought, obviously, her background in the health arena to the table, and also the resources of Oakland University. And she'll talk a little bit about that. And at the same time, Cam sent a text to me and said, hey, we've developed this resource for the community. Do you think this would be helpful to the efforts? And so shortly after that, we kind of got ourselves together and got organized, and the rest is history, so to speak. We're really I believe making a huge dent in some of the needs that are in existence right now in the greater Pontiac community. And Jen can speak a little more specifically about how we engaged together.
Thanks, Dustin. I like your comment, the rest is history, because we are literally still writing history just around the clock working on this project. In the early days, Dustin and I were doing a lot of the same work, talking to a lot of the same people, saying we recognize that there's about to be a food crisis. And, that's the first thing people think about is, how am I going to feed my kids tonight? How am I going to make sure that I can get enough food in my house to stay healthy and stay safe? And all of the individual organizations did a really good job at ramping up their services. They got more food out the door. They started serving more families. But what we still saw on the ground was that our families were still having to go to multiple locations to get food in any given week. They would go to the schools to get federally funded meals for kids. They might go to the senior centers for any seniors living in their house. And then families would have to go to some of the food banks within the community. And still at the end of the week, it wasn't enough, and they were forced to go to the grocery stores or find another way to get food for their families. And as a health sciences faculty, I realized that this was kind of working in opposition to our best practice recommendations to stay home and stay safe. And, we tell people make one trip to the grocery store, stock up, buy in bulk. And that's something that if you don't have those financial resources at the ready, you just don't have that luxury. And we said, there's got to be a better system. That's when we partnered with Lighthouse to basically move their entire operations to Oakland University's Oakland Center because campus was shut down and we had plenty of space to spread out, get additional pallets of food in there, and allow volunteers more space to pack those boxes. And then we just needed to figure out how to get them directly to the homes of people that needed them. So I just happened to randomly come across Cam's website that he had built, the mycovidresponse.org, and I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to Dustin and I said, aha, what is this? Who is this? This is what we need right now. And he said, well, that's actually my buddy Cam. Let me put you two in contact. And so that's where Cam gets to take over the story.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, for me, it was I had a couple of different people in mind, thinking about the folks at Life Church, thinking about folks in Auburn Hills, where our church was located, also Pontiac, where I live, and I was concerned about a couple different things. One, I was concerned about all the ways that news was spreading, and I wanted to create a space where there was really excellent and legitimate content about the crisis, where people could find help for it, because there was a lot of information flowing that didn't really have any backup sources. And the second person that was in mind was that person who wanted to help. I wanted to create a centralized way that people could do that, as opposed to kind of everyone running here or running there and actually potentially making the problem worse. And so when I made the site, that was the initial thought. It's like, how can we create a resource where there's some accountability to both the information and for people to be able to meet needs in a safe way that reflected good public health practices. And so made the site, and again, it was pretty remarkable to have Jen contact me about 5 days later and say, this is the missing link for what we're all trying to do. And I said, well, fantastic, because you know a lot better than I do what this can do and how it can be utilized. You have the connection. So it really was this beautiful way that God was, I think, weaving together, different people with different ideas in a way that was bigger than all of us. I think that's what it means to me. And I think what I've been able to see is just this incredible response from people joining in, signing up. I mean, we've signed up over 1,000 people on the site, including people who are in need, people who want to volunteer. And it's been really remarkable to see what kind of connections have happened. I think what makes our system unique and special is that it's really person focused. We're really trying to link people with people, not only for this part of the pandemic and meeting the immediate needs right now, but also into the future. We don't want some of these relationships that are forming through this to be lost. And so, there's a lot of different opportunities. There's a lot of different systems that utilize kind of this mutual aid philosophy. But for us, the big difference maker is, again, trying to connect people with people. And again, we've seen some really cool ways. And if that's something that, anyone's passionate about, which again, we've seen quite a few, all you do is go to mycovidresponse.org /sign up, or, all the buttons are right there on the site to be able to volunteer, to be able to ask for help, I think sometimes people are scared to ask for help too when they actually need it. And you know, you don't have to be ashamed to ask for help at all. This is a wonderful opportunity to take existing resources that are there, people who want to assist, and grow again this connection between people in a time where people are kind of being forced apart. And so that's what we always recommend everybody to do who wants to get involved, is to just go to mycovidresponse.org and sign up. And you know, you might not get notified immediately of an opportunity to help, but we do have people working all the time to help build these connections again in a safe and accountable way. And again, we've seen some really, really great things. I think Dustin has some cool stories that he's seen that he can share.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty remarkable. I think last week, Jen has the exact number. We estimate we gave out about 24,000 meals through
Yeah,
the
switch
system.
that number around. It's actually 42,000 meals.
42,000.
Wow.
Okay, I beg your pardon. 42,000 meals. And we're
was
so
just within a
grateful, you know,
1-week time
Becky to
span.
Kensington, and unbelievable.
That's amazing.
We're just so grateful, Becky, to Kensington for your partnership and helping make that happen. But I'm reminded of kind of early on, we were just getting things off the ground, and I actually did one of the deliveries myself with one of our board members who attends Kensington, Kurt Powers. And I can remember dropping the food box off on the doorstep of this gentleman, him and his wife, there on the west side of Pontiac. And you could tell, number one, the transportation they had was not operable. You could tell that the house was somewhat run down by probably a lot of standards of those around us. And when we gave him that box, you would have thought that you had given him $1 million. You know, the tears strolling down his face. He wanted to give us a hug. He actually tried to. Of course, we told him, no, we can't do that right now. But, you know, this is not just about food and not just about, you know, formula or some of the other things. It's really changing the lives of people and sustaining the lives of people during this season. And we definitely welcome the Kensington community to come and be a part of it.
I'm just so thankful for each of you. I think if we added up collectively the hours you guys have put into this over the past month, it would be a staggering number. Probably, Cam, your brain has those hours calculated, but you guys have poured so much out. And I think the thing I love so much about what has been created is it's a collaborative effort. So many nonprofits and organizations and school districts are coming alongside, and instead of working in silos, working together for the good of really some of our most vulnerable families in the community. And I love that each of your hearts is that this would be something sustainable, that these families would be able to stay in relationship with someone that is going to continue to support them. And it's really, I think we've seen this idea of caring for our neighbors explode in such a beautiful way. And I think some of the people that are serving are going to continue this as a lifestyle, I think, afterwards, this volunteering. And then I think some of the families that are receiving help are going to become those people who are then caring for their neighbors. Like, we're seeing that ripple effect. So I'm really just in awe of what you guys have poured your hearts and souls into in this My COVID response. And I just want to encourage everyone, please go check out the website, mycovidresponse.org, and see how you can get involved. But again, we thank you guys so much for what you're doing, and continue to pray for how God is going to use all these efforts to really continue to help us love our neighbors. So thank you guys for being with us today. Yeah.
Thanks, Becky, and thanks to the Kensington community.
Yeah, okay.